This is Jeffrey Rich. Today, we're talking about role-playing as a learning technique. Role-playing is an excellent way to teach students empathy and compassion because it requires that they put themselves in the shoes of other people that have different perspectives. It allows them to expand their own horizons and truly understand situations from multiple points of view. There are three important phases to role-playing. The first is the preparation phase, the second is the activities phase, and the third is the assessment phase. During the preparation phase, it's often best to provide a written summary of the situation. Key data such as the who, the what, the where, the when, and the how are important to provide so the student understands the context of the situation and has the needed information to solve the problem. It's also important for the student to understand the parameters of the assignment. This includes the time limitations on completing it. So if, for example, if you're provided 15 pages of context and you only have 10 minutes to complete the assignment, you'll want to take a different approach to gleaning the information you need from the information provided. So you may just scan that information or skip to the end and see you can just review a summary. We'll talk about the activities phase in a moment, but first, let's talk a second about the assessment phase. First of all, it's important to know what's being assessed so you know what's important to take away from the materials provided and in what context you need to provide solutions or answers to the assignment. This includes what is the objective of the role-playing itself, what are you trying to accomplish through the exercise, and what actions do you need to take? Understanding these key questions allows you to glean the information needed and complete the assignment to the satisfaction of the assignment's parameters, allowing assessment to take place and for you to come away having accomplished the learning objectives you set out to. So let's come back to phase two, the activities phase, and provide a couple of examples of role-playing exercises. The first thing that you want to think about is what is the size of the group of students that you're working with? If it's a larger group of students, you may want to pursue group activities like simulations. Simulations are great ways to involve a larger group of students and let them look at problems from multiple points of view. That helps with developing that sense of empathy and understanding of how problems can be solved from different points of view, but also understanding what's important to different people looking at problems from different points of view. So an example of a simulation could be creating a team of corporate executives that are dealing with a crisis. That crisis could be the breakout of an E. coli situation in one of the manufacturing plants. So you may go ahead and assign students the role of a CEO who is the ultimate decision maker and drives the group forward to achieve its objectives. You'll need a head of sales who can talk to the perspective about the impact of depleted sales from the crisis. You may need to bring or assign somebody the role of a vice president of operations so they can understand from the organization's operational standpoint what steps need to be taken to solve the problem. So these are examples of creating multiple, in this case, positions that students can assume the roles of and work together to solve the problem. This not only helps with instilling a sense of teamwork and collaboration, it also allows students to understand individual responsibilities among specific roles, which is often important for students that are pursuing, say, master's degrees in business disciplines. For smaller groups, it's often best to look at techniques that provide more individualized training, such as one-on-one training. An example of this could be customer service training, where your job is to teach new employees how to interact with disgruntled customers in a call center environment. So creating a role-playing scenario and simulating a customer calling in with a complaint and allowing your trainee to engage with that customer in the most efficient and effective manner, understanding that their learning outcomes in this situation may be to resolve the customer's complaint in as timely a manner as possible, costing the company as little money as possible. So in connecting the college teaching strategy of role-playing to my everyday work, I'm going to provide an example of a role-playing exercise that involves media training. So one of my responsibilities at the Mason School of Business is to help prepare faculty and staff to effectively engage with the media when providing information and subject matter expertise. So the faculty member or staff member may have the objective of conveying information that they want put out into the public domain. Or the reporter doing the interview might have an objective of gleaning the information they need from the subject matter expert to complete their story in an effective manner. So in this case, both the faculty member doing the interview and the reporter conducting the interview may have different objectives. It's important in media training to help prepare the interview subject to both answer the questions that the reporter is looking to have answered, but also guiding the conversation in a way that they can provide their subject matter expertise in a structured way where they are able to rely on the information that they are truly a subject matter expert about. Next, let me provide the context. So in this simulation, Elizabeth Eldridge will play the role of the faculty member, and I will play the role of the reporter. And the faculty member in this case is being interviewed by the Virginia Gazette, and they're being asked to provide relevant information on how William and Mary is approaching virtual commencement given the pandemic. So we're here with Elizabeth Eldridge, and we're going to conduct a very summary level media training exercise. So Elizabeth is a member of the William and Mary faculty, theoretically, and she is looking to expand her skills in interacting with the media and engaging in a professional and thorough manner when discussing topics or answering questions. So when I start with media training, it's important, like anything else, to kind of keep it simple and sort of make sure that they come away with a few things that are important, and then they can build on those as you have subsequent simulation sessions and role-playing sessions like this. So Elizabeth, the first thing that I am going to tell you about before we do a quick simulation is the three things that I want you to take away as you play the role of the interviewed faculty member today, and I play the role of reporter, is when you know you have an interview, is to first of all prepare for it, and not in the context of expanding your knowledge set about the subject matter, but thinking about what is the key information that you want to convey in that interview or that discussion. So again, not coming back to subject matter expertise to prep and study for, but thinking very concisely about what you want to communicate and making sure that you get those points across. And then the second thing that I recommend is practicing. So take these tips and do a role-playing exercise at home with friends, family, and do a back and forth with questions and answers, and just practice that you're being interviewed, and like anything else, practice will make you better at this. And then assess yourself. If you have it on video, it's a great way to do it, like we're doing here, or having a third party watch and then give you some critiques. But your assessment, your self-assessment in this case, should be thinking about, did I convey the information that I wanted to convey in a professional and interesting manner? So those are your three homework assignments to think about those. So let's just do a quick simulation exercise and pretend that you are in charge of commencement at William and Mary.
Pretend?
You are, you actually are at the business. So all right, so you're being asked by a reporter. I'm from the Virginia Gazette, and I'm looking to do a story about how universities are dealing with the pandemic in terms of it shutting down this annual rite of passage known as commencement. So we'll kind of jump into it. And I'm just going to fire away. So Elizabeth, so the pandemic is an unprecedented event, and universities all over the country are scrambling to figure out, what do we do? What do we do? So what is going to happen at William and Mary, and how is the university dealing with this and providing some sort of a commencement venue?
Well, yes, Jeff, thank you so much for interviewing and taking the time out of your day to inquire about this. William and Mary is doing a really great job of making this a unique experience because, as you know, this is indeed a unique experience that we're navigating. This has never happened in our very, very storied past. We have a huge history, a legacy, and we're the second oldest school in the nation. So you know that this is something new when William and Mary encounters it. And to mitigate this, we are doing something unique and different. We realize that commencement is such an important time of year for every student. And we want to make this a unique experience. These are unique times. So what we're doing right now is taking as much as we can from the core of the commencement and bringing it to a virtual presence, but making it unique and different because at the end of the day, this is different, and we want our students to enjoy it. And it's going to be more interactive, engaging, and probably a little more lighthearted than something we've done in the past.
So that was an excellent answer. So you made great eye contact. It's hard to do, especially in a Zoom virtual interview, but you found out where to make eye contact on the screen, and you maintained eye contact with the reporter. So you established that connection. That's really important. You remained still, so you weren't sort of moving around, hand gestures, all bad things to do that become distracting. You want them to focus on what you're saying and present yourself in a polished, professional manner, which you did an excellent job with.
I think I might have used the word unique a bit too much, but
That's okay. It's part of self-assessment, right? Critiquing
yeah,
yourself and how can I get better? Um,
absolutely.
so let me ask a follow-up question. And the one recommendation I would have is when you're answering, we all tend to elongate the answer, take it a little
Yeah,
further than we have. So when you sense that starting to come, that's when you definitely pull it back, wind it down. Doesn't mean end it right there and stop what you're saying cold turkey, but instead
right.
of finding more words to extend it to close out the conversation, pull it back, find fewer words to kind of calmly end it and turn it back over for the next question.
Makes sense.
So next question. So what do you think the students' takeaway from this will be? There's been a lot of discontent among students around the country with losing their senior experience, just losing that's residential, in our case, student experience. So what's the student sentiment going to be?
You're absolutely right, Jeff. With this being a unique time, students are missing out on some of the rites of passage that we all look forward to. So I can't say that there won't be disappointment. In my opinion, students are going to feel a little bit disappointed. They're not going to have that closure that you normally would when you're grilling through finals together and you have that last dance and those parties that bring the community you've come to know over the 4 years or 2 years or 7 years, depending on what your course of study is. It's that community that we're lacking, and we're trying to recreate that virtually. So we're going to do the best job we can, but that's still never going to fulfill that void of that human connection and contact that we have when we truly come together physically. Hopefully we'll get back to that in the fall.
Absolutely perfect. Perfect amount of time. You wound it down. And you did something really important there, too. When you offered up a perspective, an opinion, you disclosed it as an opinion. So that's really important to do when you're engaging with the media, because often what you say is going to be cited verbatim, and it's taken like anything in editorial submissions. The citation is very important. So in this case, your citation was that this was my opinion, not fact. And that gives you a lot of license to then go ahead and talk about and expand on your thoughts without them being taken as the gospel, as they say. So thanks for your willing participation in this, and you did a fantastic job, and I thank you.
Question for you, as you're the expert on this, as you run into situations where you have someone that is being interviewed and their words are parsed perhaps improperly or put in their mouth in a way, and maybe they voiced it as an opinion or stated something, but it was misconstrued. What is that respondent's course of action? Do they have anything once it's gone live and published?
If it's gone live and published, obviously it's out in the public domain, so your options are somewhat limited, but you have to first stop and think, okay, is this in print where it's out there and there's no way that I can pull it back, or is it out in the digital domain? Is it in both? If it's only in the digital domain, today the media reporters are often willing to fix it quickly. So you can contact the news desk, the reporter, and request a correction of fact. And if they're able to do it, they will generally do it for you. If it's out in print, obviously they can't pull that back. So if it, then you have to think about what's the order of magnitude of the problem with the statement. If it's a misstatement of something substantial that puts company stock value at risk, for example, then you might press that publisher to print or some sort of a retraction or correction to it in a subsequent publication. Same thing in digital. They may, for some reason, not want to amend the story and position something as a comment, or you could also think about submitting an open editorial in response to something if you can't get it retracted in the media. So there are different venues, but if you just stop and think first about the magnitude of the problem, how much time do I want to invest in fixing this? How big a deal is it really? And then follow the right course of action from there.
Gotcha. The more you know.